So, tell me about yourself.
My name's Rebecca. I'm currently a student right now. I'm going into my final year of college, and I am majoring in social work.
That's cool. What is social work all about?
Social work is all about helping people in a lot of different ways. It's a lot broader than a lot of people give it credit for. So there's social workers in schools and hospitals. They deal with child welfare. So they're kind of just all over the place, and they have different roles within that. But they do a lot for advocating for people, mediating for people, connecting them to resources that they need, um, and just assessing and making sure and intervening in helpful ways.
That's really neat. Can you talk about some branches of social work like most people wouldn't know about?
Um, I would say some of the typically when I mention anything about social work to people, their immediate thought is like child protective services, and so like going into a home and removing a child in a dangerous situation when there's been neglect or something. So I think a lot beyond that, including like I mentioned before, like schools have social workers. Hospitals and different healthcare settings like rehab places or other practices can have social workers, as well as if you're like a licensed clinical social worker or other, you can get certain types of licensures and such. Then you can do kind of more like counseling therapy side of things, which I think a lot of people don't consider when they first hear it.
Okay, that's neat. Do you have any idea what you want to go into, or are you still thinking it over?
Um, Still thinking it over. I think working in a medical setting could be interesting, but I also haven't had a ton of experience yet, so I'm not totally sure.
All right, neat. So, I don't know. I remember this, but you really like animals, don't you?
I do,
You do.
yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, I'm a big fan of dogs. I
Cool.
have two, and
Cool.
I love them dearly. So that's my main avenue for loving animals. I used to, before I wanted to do social work, I wanted to be a veterinarian, but now I'm on a very different path, which is still good. But yeah, I've always enjoyed animals, especially dogs.
Okay. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's considering social work as a major or a career?
I would say definitely like research it and like see if you can talk to someone who's in it. I know I even chose the major and I didn't really know what it was totally when I decided to do it. But I was interested in it, and in like within my first year, especially, I learned a lot about like what different kinds of options there are. Like it was a lot broader than I expected, and there's a lot more roles you can do than I knew about. So definitely just like looking in. Don't be afraid to look into it more. I think people get scared off really easily because they think like, oh, that's just depressing. I wouldn't want to deal with that. But if it's something that you're genuinely interested in, then finding out more information, and especially for me, it helped a lot to talk to people that had successfully done it, of course.
So I know, like, for the program you signed up for, you had to take some self-care classes
Mm-hmm.
and kind of, learn because, I imagine it's very exhausting to be
Yeah.
taking care of other people. So, what are some self-care tips you could share, or, what are the kinds of things they shared with you?
Yeah, I think it's very individual. Like what works for some people may not work for all in terms of like how to set boundaries and how to take care of yourself. So, like a lot of people bring up, making sure that there's a way to like keep work and your like home life separate, and not letting them bleed into each other. But I think depending on the person, just making sure that you're like taking care of yourself, like physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and that can look like making sure you're getting rest, making sure you're exercising if you need to, but you can and being able to process things either by like talking to someone about it or like journaling about it. So those are just a couple different things, but definitely it varies person by person and how they deal with stuff.
That's really neat. What are other I don't know. You've shared a lot about social work and things that people don't really think about because that's also what goes to my mind. CPS.
Yeah.
But you've shared that that's so much more. Um, I've heard that there's so can you use art in social work and art therapy in social work and things like that?
I think potentially. I haven't had like a lot of experience or learned a lot about that, but I think especially when it comes into like a counseling therapy side, art is definitely used as a great tool and could be used like for self care as well if you wanted, but whether with your clients or not. So it's definitely a great way to like express yourself and express feelings for either you or clients that you may have. So definitely an option.
All right. Turn. I don't know. You've been so like thorough with answering all the questions so far. So, um, let's see. Okay, what would be your favorite color to wear to work?
To work.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe black because it's easy and goes with a lot of things. Like I feel like more professional clothes, it's just easy to have things that are black. But my favorite color in general is probably not black, but probably for wearing to work. That's what I would go
What kind of person do you have to be a social worker? Or like, what skills should you work on if that's something you're looking into going into?
That's a good question. I mean, I think when I think of like other people that I know that have been in it or are in the program, there's lots of different types of people. So um, I think there's like a set of like values that are really important for social work, like just having like respect for others and respecting diversity and things like that. So maybe just somebody that's like willing to learn and willing to like be. You're not gonna be in like happy great situations in social work. The point is to come and hopefully help those kind of situations. So somebody that's willing to do that, but willing to learn and yeah, able to take care of yourself while you're helping others.
Okay, I think we're gonna wrap up now, but before we wrap up, one more question. I asked this to pretty much everyone. If you could eat one food for a month and nothing else, what would it be? So, like, this is the only thing you'll have for a whole month.
Um, I think, I think, well, I don't know if this counts. You can tell me. I think I would pick bread because there's so many like varieties of it. Like you could have toast in the morning. If you want dessert, you could have like a sweeter bread. Um, and they're like rolls. I just think bread is awesome. I would go for bread.
Yeah, that's really amazing. So, like, a popular answer has been potatoes. So I was holding my breath, like, will she say potatoes? If she says potatoes, I'm gonna laugh. But
I do enjoy potatoes.
yes, you did say bread though, so I was like, okay, it's different. That's
But
good.
similar, there's lots you can do with it.
Yeah.
It's different.
I think carbs is going to be a popular answer. Like, usually they say some carbs.
Tasty. Carbs just taste so good.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Rebecca, this has been lovely and wonderful. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.